See you next week.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, Anna. So we will keep a check on that travel situation throughout drive from 4 o'clock today, but as you can tell, it is really busy. Do you know, I can't believe this song is 11 years old. It was the big anthem of 1999, and Vanessa Amorosi, who sang it, is going to be with us next. Absolutely, everybody. There's Vanessa Amorosi. And as I said, Vanessa, I can't believe that's 11 years old, that record.
I know.
It's really good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me in.
1999, and everybody I've mentioned that song to in the office, they've just been going, it's in my head now. you didn't realise how big that song was over here,
I had
did you?
no idea. No. I did a lot of shows for Europe, but I never made it back to London, which was so disappointing. So, yeah.
It was just kind of one of those big... It was the right song at the right time. It was a good summer, big summer anthem. Everybody was going off to Europe on the holiday. And we just came back singing your song.
I love that. Summer holidays. Cool.
It was fairly big back... I'll tell you what, before we talk about that song and how big it was back home, you know, you're still fairly new to us over here, but you are a big deal back home in Australia, aren't you? I've been saying all week, you've sold millions of records, you sang at the Australian Olympics, you're pretty big news back home.
Yeah, I've been very lucky there that, you know, I've been embraced and I've been able to last 10 years there. But, you know, I started so young. I was around 14 when Absolutely came out. I was really young, so... yeah, I still have a lot more in me.
Is it a bit of a challenge coming somewhere like the UK, you've cracked your hometown. So, everybody likes to make it big back home. But coming out to a new marketplace and a new audience and a new musical taste must be a kind of bit of a buzz to try and break it.
It's exciting. It is exciting. And because the album is quite outrageous, it makes it more a challenge for me. And, I can't say it's a stressful thing. I love it.
It's very different to the single we've just played. And we're going to play your new single a little bit later. And you're going to perform live for us. Who's your man?
James.
James. Hello, James.
Hello, everyone.
You're all right. It's good to see you. You're going to sing for us live in a few minutes.
Yes.
But this album is very different. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on female singers nowadays to deliver really strong material, isn't there?
I think there's always a pressure, but I pressure myself. I want to write better songs. I want to be a better singer and better entertainer. So that's what drives me to writing better albums, I'm hoping. And this album is just a very honest, real, raw album. Rather, with my past material, it was about fantasy and things that I wanted to experience. And this album's about things I have.
So how did a 14-year-old girl get such a big break in Australia?
It was a really long thing. I started gigging at 12 and I was working in studios writing and doing production and stuff as an assistant. And I didn't get seen by management until 3 or 4 years into that or something. And then I had an album ready to go and was knocked back by every label. And then my demo got played on radio and the people that were listening to it rang in and said, "Who is this girl? We want to hear more of it." And that's how I got my career. But it was a real struggle up to that point.
So were you writing the material at that stage?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, they're great songs for a young girl to have turned out. So what was your inspiration in those days? Or who was your inspiration?
Well, I was definitely inspired by my parents because both of them were in rock bands and that's what we grew up listening to as our parents sing. But it was mainly just wanting to experience things. I lived in a country town, so music was my getaway, and that's how I created my own little world, was from music.
So you lived in a country town. You wanted to make it in the big city. I mentioned that you sang at the Australian Olympics. I mean, that's a huge deal, isn't it?
I know. I mean, I was so lucky that I was so young. I didn't quite realise what I was doing, and I think that's what saved me. I don't know, if I was to do that now, knowing how many people are watching and how critical it is to get it right, I'd probably just freak out. So,
because it's not just Australia watching you. It's kind of a few billion, trillion, million, squillion people around the world watching you.
Yeah, and I did the opening and the closing, and the opening was a song called Heroes Live Forever. And I remember saying to my mum a week before when I got the track, I was saying, listen, I'm going to attempt to sing the longest note possible because I was always on missions, right? And I remember my mum saying, you shouldn't probably risk that, because there's going to be a lot of people watching. I'm like, no, I'm going to sing one note the longest as possible. And that's what I ended up doing. But I would never set a challenge up in front of that many people, just randomly throw it out there now. So that's something I've learnt.
But, when you're still young, but when you're younger, the world is yours to conquer. So a big note was, hey, I'll just go and do it. Yeah?
It just doesn't seem to be any risk. Now I enjoy the risk and I search for it. But back when I was younger, there was just never any risk. It was just like, yeah, I can do it. Let's do it. So.
Okay. Well, let's get you to do it now. We're not going to ask you to sing the longest note ever.
No.
Because I'm off air in about 16 minutes, so that will be my challenge.
I always had this thing with my music teacher on recycling air. There are some artists that can actually recycle air and the note will continue to play, and that's what I want to prove on TV around the world. Anyway.
Let's do it. What are you going to sing for us?
This is called Mr. Mysterious.
All right, okay.
There was two of us to share.